I made a video previously for the warm up and cool down lab, so I thought I would follow that up by making another one on prescribing basic exercise. So you can follow my process and see how it is that I would make decisions for um, selecting exercises, selecting the intensity, how I'm going about making decisions to put the best prescription together possible. Similar to my warm up and cool down video, I have made a copy of the lab so you can follow along with me as I go through, and hopefully this will serve as a good model for you when you are completing yours. The first thing I did was answer the question. So we need to distinguish between how we can prescribe HIIT and MIT for people, moderate intensity interval training or high intensity interval training. In order to decide how we're going to prescribe this and steady state exercise, we need to know at what intensity somebody can begin exercising with you. The way that we do that, taking it back to Module 1, we have to implement the ACSM screening algorithm. There are three parts of the algorithm: whether or not somebody is physically active, whether or not somebody has a history of cardiovascular metabolic renal disease, and whether or not somebody has signs or symptoms suggestive of cardiovascular metabolic or renal disease. Then we implement the algorithm and it tells us whether or not somebody needs medical clearance to begin exercising, and if not, at what intensity they can begin exercising. So here I've provided information about myself. So you can see here, I'm just going to stop talking so you can read my answer right here. So this is a complete response. Here, because I'm already doing vigorous physical activity, I can continue to HIIT. So that's high intensity interval training. I'm going to be prescribing myself exercise at the maximum 90 to 100% of heart rate max. What are my goals? My goals are always to get big and to get lean. I guess as big as I can get, but and always to lean out. So this is going to give me information that I need to make a decision about what sorts of activities I should be including in my exercise. I have access to pretty much everything because I've got a pretty sweet home gym. I don't actually have a heart rate monitor. I don't have a smartwatch. I think the only thing I have here is a pulse oximeter because I'm afraid of getting COVID. So I bought one in a panic. I panic bought a pulse ox. So I do have that and it gives heart rate, but I put here that I'm going to prescribe by a Borg RPE, which is a scale of 6 to 20, supposed to correlate with heart rate. What exercise do I like to do? So here are my likes: running, different types of squats, box jumps, probably things that other people don't like. My dislikes: I hate the assault bike. It kills me every time. And then anything that requires going overhead, because I have such terrible shoulder flexion, everything is very difficult for me. Also, this stuff it's bad for my back, so that's why front squats I probably should put on there too. These are my limitations. I have limited shoulder flexion. I'm dealing with a meniscal tear in my left knee, but I'm living with it. I do have a herniation at L5S1, but it doesn't really impact me. And I've had many, many unfortunate major surgeries in the last few years that I need to consider. So I'm not going to get into detail there, but you have an idea. Many abdominal surgeries, we'll just put it at that. So here I have to create a generic warm-up, and I also ask you to create a generic cool-down. I'm going to skip over those parts. If you need help doing this, I've already made a video for that, so you can go back and watch it again. But what I'm going to focus on here are the HIIT, the interval training routines, and the steady state training routines. I'm going to skip over the discussion questions, and I'm going to go right down to the steady state prescription recording table. You can see here I've got some heart rates, and I've got a little prescription as a sample for you. I'm just going to get rid of all of this because it's a new day, it's a new me, and I'm gonna just put in new values here. So I'm just gonna do, let's see, my goal is to get lean, So I might not want to do tons of cardio because I also want to put on size. For people who are trying to put on size, you want to limit the amount of cardio that they're doing so that they're not sacrificing the muscle mass. When you're working for long periods of time, you can start to break down muscle for energy. So I'm going to keep it kind of a lower intensity, a lower amount of time. So maybe I do like to run, so maybe this will look like a run. Maybe to keep it lower, I'll do 20 minutes, which would be about 3 miles, maybe a little bit more than 3 miles for me. I want to pick my heart rate. How do I pick my heart rate? Well, I want myself working at about maybe, let's say like 75% of my heart rate max. Well, how do I calculate this? I know how to calculate percent heart rate max, but if you're unclear of how to calculate heart rate max, you can go back to the spreadsheet from the fitness assessment module and choose the sheet that you fill out the sheet for exercise prescription target heart rate. I'm just going to open up my calculator. 220 minus my age, 183 times the percent, but in decimals, so 0.75. I'm at 130, we'll call it 138 is my target heart rate. I'm going to do 5 above and 5 below, and that's going to be the heart rate range. So if it was 138, I'm going to go 143 is the upper, and then 133 is the lower. So this is the target heart rate range that I'm looking at. I'm just going to delete this line because I don't think I need it. So I'm going to try to achieve a heart rate between 133 and 143. I'm going to run for 20 minutes, run outside for 20 minutes. And this is steady state because it is one intensity. I'm running consistently, steadily for 20 minutes. I'll know whether or not my exercise is too intense by maybe doing the walk test on myself. The talk test on myself. So maybe I can sing myself a little ditty while I'm running to see whether or not I'm actually able to do it. If I'm not able to do it, it's probably too intense. So this is the heart rate range. This might correlate with an RPE of 13 to 14, right? Because it's a 1 to 10. If the RPE is 13, that correlates with a heart rate of 130. If an RPE is 14, it correlates with a heart rate of 140. Actually, let me change this to 14. No, we'll keep it there. So this since I don't have a heart rate monitor, I'm not going to be carrying around my pulse ox with me while I run. This is what I'm going to use to determine. This is on a scale of 20. So I'm going to be working at a 13 or 14 out of 20. What I will do is probably take my own pulse at some point, maybe right after I finish. So that would be, I could take my pulse by watching a clock for 15 seconds and multiplying by 4, or watching a clock for 30 seconds and multiplying by 2, or watching a clock for 60 seconds and then just using that number for my pulse. So I would record that. I want to record that pulse, and then if my pulse is say 150 at the end of this, I know that I would probably have to decrease the intensity. So I could do that by adjusting my RPE to 12, here. I'm not going to change that here. I just wanted to show you. But what I would do is decrease RPE to 12 to 13. All right, so that's and then, I might want to try again. Who knows? So this is what a steady state routine looks like for somebody who does not have access to a heart rate monitor. Now, moving down, I'm just going to put this onto one page. Here I've got a sample of a high-intensity interval training routine. Because high intensity intervals are so intense, you actually can't really do much work in your rest period. If you're doing moderate intensity interval training, I might expect to see something like, let's see, a 75%. Maybe that's too intense. So maybe 65% here, depending on how skilled or how fit your person is, and then maybe 50% active recovery. Okay, I'm just going to do this as an example. I'm just going to get rid of all of these. This is what I expect you to do. I expect you to get rid of like all of this stuff. Oopsies. So I'm just going to delete these two, and I'll bring them back later. So what would it look like? Okay, so if my work, let's say I am my client and I'm only cleared for moderate intensity interval training. So this 65%, if I've not done exercise before, is like the upper end of the moderate intensity range. And then a 50% is light intensity, but it's still working. So here, you could do rest here, depending on how out of breath your client is. But it might be better to do some active recovery, like some walking in between. But it would be also okay to do rest periods here if they were really very out of shape. But in this example, I'm just going to do active recovery instead of rest, because I'm going to do rest in my high intensity interval training prescription. So what does this look like? Okay, for me, if I go back, again, you would use a spreadsheet to do this, but I'm just going to do this with my calculator because I know how. 220 minus my age equals times the percent in decimal, which would be 65. So we're looking at 119 beats per minute. That would be 119. So 124 is the upper end and 114 is the lower end. So I see those ranges. So my RPE here would be 11 to 12. Okay. And then for 50%, I'm going to do this again. 0.5, 50%, so 91.5 would be, let's say, 92. So 92 plus 5 is 97. And then the lower end would be 87. I might not be able to achieve these beats per minute. Even I could try to bring it down, but you do the best you can to prescribe ranges. My RPE here would be about, I'm gonna go with 8 to 9, even though it's 97. I could also put 9 to 10 here, but because that's so close to here, I'm just gonna put 8 to 9 here. This is probably too intense here. Now I need to select the things that I want to do. If I go back up to the top, I've got what I like. So maybe, let's see, running. I can do that not intensely. Overhead squats, depending on the weight, I can do those not intensely. Pull-ups probably will jack up my heart rate. Toes to bar will probably jack up my heart rate. Deadlift will be okay, depending on the weight. Cleans will jack up my heart rate. Box jumps will jack up my heart rate. Jump rope would jack up my heart rate. And snatch, depending on the weight, might or might not. So right now I'm looking at running, overhead squats, deadlifts, cleans, and snatch. Well, you say, but those are resistance training exercises. You can't put resistance training exercises into your cardiovascular training routine. Oh, but I can. So I can use these movements to help get my heart rate up. And I'm kind of doing, that's the beauty of interval training, and it's also the beauty of circuit training, right? Where you can get the increase in the heart rate and do the resistance training at the same time. So you're killing two birds with one stone, which is really nice. So here, let's say I'm going to do some overhead squats. I wonder if you can hear my cat meowing in the background. She's so annoying. So I'm going to alternate overhead squats, and maybe a light jog. How many overhead squats would I need to do for moderate intensity interval training? Well, I would probably need to do bar, just the bar, no weight. Overhead squats with the bar. No weight. Let's see, how long do I want my work periods to be? We can keep a traditional training pattern. So I will choose an EMOM pattern. EMOM is every minute on the minute. So I will do 20 seconds. Oh my God, this cat is so annoying. Go away, please, for the love of God. All right, 20 seconds. So in order to get to 65%, I might have to do these, you know, at a moderate pace. And then light jog for 40 seconds. And so I put the intensity of the jog here, and I know that the intensity of the jog should be 8 to 9. So, and I know that the intensity of the overhead squats I'm doing should be 11 to 12. And so this will be difficult because I'm not going to have the ability to take my heart rate. So we'll just have to make sure that the RPE is on. I could also ask my client to do, so get heart rate. I guess I could take my pulse, right? This one I might want to do the pulse oximeter. I probably have to have the pulse oximeter with me to check this one. It might be hard. If you don't have access to a heart rate monitor, you'll just have to do pulse and work on RPE. So maybe just make sure that the RPE matches. What might happen is you ask your client, or you ask yourself if you're doing this on yourself. Maybe the RPE ended up being a 15, right? And maybe this RPE was good. And so I don't need to make any changes here. Correct intensity. And then here I would need to do overhead squats with a PVC pipe. Because the bar weighs, women's bar weighs about 35 pounds. I do have a 15-pound bar, so I could try or a 15-pound bar, right? I could also, or reduce the pace. All right. And then I might repeat this for 10 minutes. And there I have it. Okay, I won't even do that. All right, and so there you have it. This is a moderate intensity interval training routine. It's moderate intensity because the work periods are only 65% of my heart rate max. I estimated the RPE using the percent heart rate max for myself. And then I can record my effort using RPE again and make changes as I need to. Okay, I'm repeating this 10 times. That makes a 10-minute EMOM, every minute on the minute. So every minute I'm going to do 20 seconds of work and 40 seconds of active recovery. This is not rest, this is active recovery. All right, so now I'm going to delete all this and I'm going to try a high intensity interval training routine. So here I'm looking at 90% plus, so near max effort or near max effort. And I know that when I do max effort or near max effort, I'm probably going to have to alternate with rest. I'm not really going to have a choice. The amount of rest is going to depend on the amount of work. And by the amount, I guess I mean more like the length of the work that you prescribe. True HIIT, you can only do it for a few seconds at a time because you're so gassed you literally cannot breathe anymore. So you're going to have to stop. That's why you can really only prescribe about, 40 seconds at a time maximum. If you want a really good workout, you can also do like a moderate intensity interval training, but it's not really, I guess you could classify it as HIIT. 85%, 80 to 85% would still be really hard. It wouldn't be max effort, and you could do longer bouts. So that, something like that would be like running a 400 meter as fast as possible, and then walking a lap as fast as possible. Alternating running and walking a 400 meter on a track would be a good example of like a moderate intensity interval. So I'm going to do 90%. Okay, now I need to look back at my activities here. I'm going to vary this one a little bit just to give you an idea of what you can do. I'm just going to get a little bit more creative for those of you who are feeling sassy. So my likes include these things. So maybe box jumps will jack up my heart rate. Jump rope will jack up my heart rate. Cleans will jack up my heart rate. Let's go with those for right now. So I know I want to do cleans. I know I want to do box jump. And I want to do, what's the other one? Jump rope. Right. Yes. Something to note here, if this is a high intensity interval and I prescribe sit-ups here, that's a problem. Because this is high intensity for cardiovascular. It wouldn't be like a 10 out of 10 difficulty on a sit-up. It's a 10 out of 10 difficulty on cardiovascular work. So if you're selecting exercises that are not eliciting an appropriate heart rate response, that's a problem. Okay, so these are all going to really, that's why I said this one's going to jack up my heart rate, this one's going to jack up my heart rate, this one's not, so I'm going to avoid those. All right, so let's say I'm doing these. Let's say I want to use a number this time. So I'll do, well, let me start with the heart rate. So 90% plus, get my calculator open, would be 220 minus my age equals times 0.9. That puts me at 160. Yeah, I blast that all the time. 165, so it would be 170, 160 to 170. I go way above that all the time. And then my rest would be, I'm just going to leave this blank. I'll just put NA because I can't really predict what my resting heart rate is going to be. My goal here is to just get my heart rate as low as possible. And I can alternate these. Why didn't I just do that? This makes so much more sense. Okay. So here, I can make this a little bit crazy. If they're not too heavy. 20 cleans and moderate weight. I'm just going to put moderate weight here. This is not a resistance training class, but a moderate weight, doing 20 cleans rapidly, full body exercise is going to jack up my heart rate a lot. A moderate weight for me might be something like 95 to 105. Rest, nothing. So I'm going to do this as hard as I can. Now, box jumps. Maybe, so I got to recover from this. This is going to probably take me about 40 seconds. Maybe I do, recover. I'll do a 1-to-1 ratio. So recover for about 40. This will take about 40 seconds. So recover for about 40 seconds. Box jumps. I will do box jumps. Let's say 20 box jumps. Take me about 40 seconds. 24 inches on a 24-inch box. So take me about 40 seconds. Recover for 40 seconds. And then max effort again would probably take me about maybe 80. So double under is like two per jump, 2 rope revolutions per jump. I'm trying to think if that would take me about 40 seconds. Probably about that. But you see what I'm trying to do here. And then recover for 40 seconds. So we've got 40 times this 240. 240 divided by 60. I can math. Divided by 60. That is 4 minutes of work. So for somebody who's fit, I might repeat 3 times. I might even repeat this 4 times because I feel like 40 seconds is a pretty good amount of rest for this. Actually, I might try this out tonight with my husband. So I hope what this video has shown you is how you decide at what intensity somebody will be doing these intervals at, how to put together intervals. You can use a variety of techniques. You can just stick with your cardiovascular equipment, going high and low. I'm trying to help you decide whether you're choosing active recovery or rest, how you would choose an RPE. Oh, going RPE. So RPE would be 16, 17. No, this can't be. My RPE would be about 19, 20 because this is going to be max effort for me. And so I would have to evaluate whether or not these were hard enough. Things that I could do, if this was not hard enough, I could increase the weight or increase the reps. If this is not hard enough, I could increase the height of the box. Or increase the reps. And if this is not hard enough, I could increase the reps. If this is too hard, I would do the opposite of what I've written here. If it's too hard, I would decrease the weight or I would decrease the reps. If this is too hard, I would decrease the height of the box or I would decrease the reps. If this is too hard, I would decrease the number of reps. So it just gives you an idea. And here I would just record, maybe if I wasn't able to finish it, that's an indication that it's too much. Or if I finished it with an RPE of 17, that tells me that I need to make these changes. Same with these things. I don't know how much of a mess this was. I hope that it's helpful and that you can rewatch it back, take some tips home with you. But I will also be making a video for how to be successful on this lab. So good luck.